Hello and welcome to my channel, Love with Sun. My name is Susanna Sun, and today we are talking about the ginormous astrological events that are happening next week. And it's not just cosmic, it's also earth-based, so it has a very practical feel to it, and I am intending to bring that through for you so that you can use this information to help support you in your practical life application. There is two major events, maybe, well, you could call it three, but some of them are combined together, which is really powerful energy. And I would love to share with you how you can use these energies to support you. The energy of the equinox is the first that I would like to talk about with you. So on the 21st, 20th evening, which is Monday or Tuesday, you're going to be experiencing the energies of the earth moving into the equinox. So first of all, I'd like to say that all of these things, whether that's earth-based or cosmology, it is simply mirroring or reflecting to us what is happening internally. So I'm not so much taking these outside, far away topics and looking at them as something separate from us. I'm looking at them specifically as a reflection of what is happening internally. And that is really what astrology is, and also what Mother Nature is. It's a reflection of what's happening internally. So you can take the cosmology of your internal systems and you can look at the outer cosmology as a sort of reflection of that. And you can use the information from the outer reality to inform what's happening internally as well, okay? So equinox is the transition into a new season. So if you're in the northern hemisphere like I am, we're transitioning into spring. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're transitioning into autumn. Now, as this is happening, it's the sun moving into the sign of Aries. And at 0 degrees of Aries, the very, very start, is the beginning of the new year according to the astrological calendar. The new year, according to the astrological calendar, I find to be a lot more potent than the Gregorian calendar, which is more typical of looking at January 1st as a new year, because January 1st starts in the middle of a season, and in the northern hemisphere it happens in the middle of winter, which is the most dead season. There's not a lot of life, there's not a lot of new energy happening. So it can be a very awkward time to try to start new things or to create new habits or to change lifestyle. So instead of that, I work with the astrological calendar, and this lines up with the equinox, which makes a lot more sense to me personally. Now, on this same day where the sun moves into Aries, 0 degrees of Aries, the moon is also exactly at the same spot. And this conjunction, we call it a new moon. And really what it is a time when the shadows are not so relevant, because the moon represents the shadow world. It represents the delusions, the illusions that we experience, right? So when it is beside the sun, it's not so relevant. We're more focused on the sun. The moon isn't so visible to us at this time. And so we're more focused on the light energies, which is really, really beautiful. And it's very potent because it's very fiery. It's very clear. So when we look at this specific energy of March 21st, and we're talking about 2023 right now, if you're watching this in the future, we are looking at a really powerful, igniting type of energy. So Aries as a sign is a very fiery sign. It's the activator, the initiator. It's very active in general. It's very go on, right? So it has this energy of forward motion, of momentum carrying us forward. So it's a really powerful time to be creating something new. And what my encouragement for you to utilize this energy is to connect with your own sense of reality about your identity, about who you are, about your lifestyle, your patterns, your habits, and really to focus in on what are the pieces that you want to highlight for this coming year, at least. I'll talk about why it can be longer than a year in a little while here, but at least for this coming year, what you would like to activate. And it can be something that has already been coming in for a while for you. It could be something that's kind of forgotten for you, but I see it as rebirth is the word that I'm using because of the second astrological event, which happens 2 days later on Thursday, March 23rd, which is Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius. Now, I do want to state that this is specifically Western or tropical astrology that I'm talking about right now. So if you hear people talking about different signs, that's why, but I'm specifically talking about Western astrology today. So when we look at Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius, now this is a separate event technically than Equinox, but they have a lot of parallels. So let me just draw this picture for you. So we have the new year happening on the 21st, and then we have Pluto transiting into Aquarius on the 23rd. Now, Pluto is a god of the underworld. He is also called Hades. That's the archetype. And he is the ruler of rebirth. So the underworld, I would like you to not so much see as like hell, but more as the inner world. So this is the esoteric definition of the underworld, is that it's actually an inner journey that we experience on personal levels inside our own psyche, inside our subconscious. You can take it into other contexts, of course, and those are relevant as well, but I want to look at it specifically as an inner journey. So Pluto is the ruler, the masculine ruler of this inner world. And when Pluto transits into a new sign, we're going to be experiencing different effects. So Aquarius is where we're moving into. This is, for many astrologers, the final move into the age of Aquarius. You know, this is very controversial, I could say. There's many different opinions about when the start and end of the age of Aquarius is, and it can be confusing because it's kind of this drawn out event that we have been slowly moving into the age of Aquarius for a number of years. People have been talking about it in the Western world since the hippies. You know, God bless the love and peace crowd, because they brought us so much information from the East that hadn't been previously available to the West. So we're grateful for that information, but also aware that it has been translated to a Western audience, which kind of adjusts the information a little bit. So Aquarius, let's talk about what is that energy. So we talked about the energy of the equinox, and in that being in Aries, so that's where the sun is. And now we're looking at Pluto, and Pluto is coming into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is the servant of the people. It is very much about bringing people together in service, in community. So in that energy, we have the god of the underworld showing up. So apply that inward and consider, in your own experience, what would it be like to have your own inner god of the underworld, the subconscious inside of you, showing up in a way of servitude and community orientation, right? So it is very powerful as a rebirth in general. So we're moving away from this individualist kind of mentality into more of a community type of mentality. We're moving away from looking at what do I need to what do we need and how can we support each other. So there's a lot of opportunity here for collaboration and for creating things that are going to be really supporting others and ourselves, but really with the focus being on how can we support each other. Now let's combine these energies because they are 2 days apart, and what we have is what I'm calling a rebirth portal. Pluto is the god of rebirth specifically because of the underworld connotations. So when he transits into a new sign, it feels like beginning of a new reality. So our inner world is experiencing a sense of something is totally new here. There's a possibility, an energy of becoming something totally new. And it's not that this is outside of our realms of possibilities in the past, but the energy certainly feels a lot more present and now, especially combined with that fiery energy of the sun and the moon in Aries. So when we take this energy and we utilize it, we're creating for ourselves the real possibility of creating new realities for ourselves and for our communities. When I speak of new realities, I want to be very clear that it doesn't have to be something that is brand new to you. It can be something that has been perhaps forgotten. I especially like to see this in regards to what we might call fragmented parts of ourselves that perhaps have just fallen away or been kind of locked in a closet. We've just kind of forgotten about them. We've left them behind. And now, as we come into this rebirth energy, we are able to reclaim those parts of ourselves, to reintegrate them into our current reality. So it's not so much new as it is a remembering of who we truly are. Because Pluto is here and so relevant, the idea of rebirth as well, it has to do also with letting go of the old versions of reality. And this is an essential part to being able to step into the new version of reality. It is the prerequisite to being able to create this change. So when we are creating a new habit, for example, so say I'm a person who is really experiencing a lot of addictive tendencies towards food, and that is something personally that I have experienced, so I am speaking from experience there, but I think many of us deal with this. So the new reality that I might want to create is to have a really healthy relationship with food and with my body, and to be able to experience peace and nourishment in my experience with food, rather than feeling frustrated and feeling these kinds of toxic kind of connections. So when we go into the new reality, when we're stepping into the new habits, what is required of us is to let go of the old habits. This might seem super obvious as I'm saying it, but when you apply it to the bigger picture, it'll make sense. So as we're stepping into the new version of reality for ourselves, in this rebirthing of ourselves, what is required of us is to let go of the old versions of ourselves. It can come with some grief. And the grief I see really happening more this week, but it can take some time and kind of trickle through. And trickle through the entire year, honestly, because Pluto moves into Aquarius, but then it comes back out, and then it goes in again and then out a few times throughout 2023. So it is kind of this slow progression where we are continually moving deeper into the new reality. But this first time with the spring equinox is really the start, the ignition being turned on into this new reality. So what we choose to focus on at this time will be what we are propelling through this energy and through the entire year, and even into a much bigger scope as beyond this year as well, because Pluto moves much slower than the sun does. So it's not just 1 year. We're going to spend quite some time with Pluto in Aquarius. The other way that this age has been described, the age of Aquarius, is the golden age. The reason that it's called this, there are many, but the way that I like to see it is that there is a sense of illumination. And what I like to see in terms of rebirth with illumination is that as the old parts of ourselves are dying, and again, this is Hades, this is Pluto, we are killing off the old versions of ourselves that weren't working. And instead of kind of marinating in that grief, although we might experience it, we are seeing more of this solar energy coming through, more of the light energy showing up for us. And that is really beautiful because it allows us to step into the new reality rather than focusing on what the old reality was and why it wasn't working for us. So we look at the new reality and we focus there instead. It's very beautiful. As we do this, there is a collective feel to it because of Aquarius. So to me, I understand it as being very important, essential even, to be doing this in community. It's not just an inside job, it's also a communal job. Yeah? So that is also really quite new to us, especially because of everything that's happened over the last few years. So many people are in deep states of isolation. And we are now finally being encouraged energetically into a space of connection. So that is another possibility for you to use as a focus on what it is that you're creating and how to use this energy. Because if you're doing it by yourself, it will not have as much of this energy. If you're connecting with others in it, you will be able to access deeper layers of it because it is specifically working with collective energy. So that is the energetic update of what's happening next week. I am offering a class on Sunday, which is part of a new series that I have started. I would love to share that with you quickly. It is a Sunday self-care series, which has been just so beautiful to share with my sisters of what community can look like, how we can heal in community, how we can care for ourselves but not be alone in it. And this one specifically on Sunday is going to help prepare us to catalyze this energy of the upcoming week. And what it is specifically, the energy that I've been tuning into that is really needed at this time is what I'm calling boundary bitch vocal activation. So we are using our throats specifically, opening the throat chakras and practicing vocalizing and holding our spaces really strong. And what this will do is that it gives us permission to go into this new reality, knowing that we're safe to do so. So if you go into this next week, but you're still holding on to old realities, you're still contacting narcissistic energies, you're still feeling the cords from energy vampirism, then it will kind of keep you pulled into that, yeah? So when you practice holding your boundaries really strongly and taking up space and using your voice to do that, not only are you setting boundaries to protect yourself and your sisters and your family and all your loved ones, but you are also creating spaciousness by which the light can come through. So if you imagine your spaciousness as being sort of like a bubble that you hold, and your bubble is infiltrated with parasitic energies, or you're being drained, then it's going to be very challenging to be able to create a new reality because your energy is being displaced. So holding your boundaries means keeping this space really, really clear so that the light can infiltrate it and totally flood that space, so that the spark of the Aries, the equinox season, the new realities can come in and fully penetrate your experience. So that is what this Sunday self-care session is going to do for us. And it will help us to move through these energies in a much more potent way. And then in that session as well, I'll let you know, I will be sharing with you how I will be available to support people through the actual rebirthing as well in deeper ways. So that's my update. Sending you much love. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Please comment. Let me know what you think about this. Do you have any questions? Is any of it new information for you? Do you feel it personally as well? I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are. And if you are looking to join us on Sunday, you can find that link in the description section below. And you can also find me talking about it more on my social media as well, which you'll also find in the link in the description. Sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. Many blessings and a powerful equinox to you.